Hello everyone, Digital Wolf here. This is a new episode from the Spirits of Tsushima campaign, the Japanese campaign. I didn't do one of the last turn, so I'm not going to do one of every single turn. I'm just going to do ones of the exciting ones. So, what happened last turn? Not really much, and that's why I didn't upload. There was an attempt to attack at Madras by the enemy, by the allies, but that was repulsed on a one-to-one basis. Um, and we shall see. I mean, they might try again today. The other big operation that I have here is a big cap trap. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I think it will, but it might backfire because he's very likely to sweep heavily. So we shall see if that works out in the end. Some more night bombing. I think I mentioned last time that we are allowed to night bomb when it's between 96% and 100% moonlight. So this is almost towards the end of that. I'm also doing some of my own night bombing here. There were a lot of fighters stationed at Look now, according to my recon, but he's very likely moved them. I'm just bombing just in case they're still there. All right, that's the end of the night bombing phase. Things are heating up a little bit in India because, well, first of all, there's the whole Madras thing going on. But I'm also attempting to reach Pune, and he is moving in and determined to stop me. It's a race by both sides to reinforce in the India operation, either in defense or offense. That cruiser is still probing my perimeter. He's sweeping over here. That's not where the cap is. The cap is protecting these forces moving towards Pune. I think he's going to bomb it, but I did see that Bombay was scrubbed because of my Bombay recon mission was scrubbed because of bad weather. So that might stop them flying in the morning phase, but we shall see if the afternoon phase will clear up or not. I'm also noticing an indicator here. He is moving troops down to Pune. So yeah, as I said, it's a race there. So sweeps over here. I knew he was going to sweep here because he bombed last turn without any fighters, and that was basically just a trap for me to jump on it and send fighters on cap that he would then sweep. So as part of the whole Madras situation, I'm trying to bomb his forces so that they're weakened and they don't drive my forces out. I have the Imperial Guard being A group being reinforced by the B group this turn, so hopefully that should be enough to stop him pushing me out. But I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. Remains in suspense. Bombing over Conquery. Just going to speed through this. Another 4 resources hits. It's good. Probably going to lose some to flak on ops losses. Another 2 hits. I mean, keeping up the pressure on Madras garrison. That arrival of the 26th division, I believe, was the last one to arrive with 300 plus AP. That was a bit of a surprise. On the one hand, it's good because it means more forces to trap and liquidate, but I first have to trap and liquidate them before that happens, so we shall see. Plus that he's knocked out. Okay, I don't think he is. Well, it is thunderstorms. It's hard to tell. But I don't think he's like massively overstacked. Otherwise, you'd see generally more casualties than this. I do think he's overstacked though. I mean, you can tell he's moving forces to Baton from Clark. Trying to relieve some of that pressure. And the forces that were in Clark have stopped moving towards, sorry, that were in Baton have stopped moving towards Clark. So my bomber strike groups have largely accomplished the mission in Luzon. I have taken Manila, pushed the forces back to Clark. I'm happy to see them starve. They don't have any access to supply for now. Um, and so now it's the decision, where do I send those bombers next? I could, more sweeps here. I could send them to China because the next attack on Chongqing is coming up, so I have to prep for that anyway. So that might be the most logical decision, and I already have the air supports infrastructure there in place. India, it's a bit more more difficult because I don't have as much air support in place and airfields in place that as yet that are built up. And it's definitely prioritizing fighters at the moment there, which are taking a lot of space. Sorry, when I talk, I keep forgetting to move along the game. All right, so afternoon phase now. We'll find out if the Bombay cap happens or not, cap trap happens or not. I'm also going to deal with this. I'm moving forces to stop that from happening. There we go. Okay, so it's going to be tough because his sweeps are starting first. So these turns tend to last a long time. So I'm going to speed past it. We'll take a look at the results of the air combat in both the combat reports as well as in the intel screen. So I'll just speed past here. So that sweep was defeated. Here it says I lost a 0 and an Oscar and 5 Wildcats. That means that's a lot of Wildcats were knocked out. But it's really hard to just take this and assume that that's the actual result. I would caution against that greatly because the actual result varies quite a lot. Although this does give you some idea. I would say very likely we knocked out more Wildcats than we lost defending fighters. Also remember that this is a first wave, so it's at my most rested and ready organization. So if hopefully no more sweeps, although I think there are going to be more because he usually always sends a P3, his single P-38 squadron is always sweeping from here. So that's going to be trouble when it actually hits and my fighters are tired. So we shall see what happens next. Hurricanes. So that's not going to end too well like the last one. Especially if he's smart and he brings them at a higher altitude than the Wildcats. Because the Wildcats are better down low than the Hurricanes. Hurricane is an excellent mid-altitude fighter. All right, sweeping that's this. Doesn't look like we even shot down a single Hurricane, but obviously some of them might be damaged and ops losses later. But knocked out a few fighters as well. And it's just going to get worse like that if he keeps coming. And he is keeping coming. I don't know. I did cap settings of 70, so I should have fighters remaining past these 3 sweeps. And hopefully that's it, but I don't know when the P-38s are coming. That's going to be trouble. Especially since he knows how to use them. Let's speed past this one as well. Okay, I saw a hurricane or two being shot down there. Again, disproportionate. So my hope is that it's not sweeps anymore and it's the bombers, so I can recoup some of these losses. The good news, of course, is I'm flying over friendly forces, so a lot of these guys are going to be intact. A lot of the pilots are going to be intact. He could also be really smart and have predicted that I'm going to put up cap there, which is not something I do every day for obvious reasons. Both because you got to take care of your pilots, can't exhaust them, and because you want to maintain that element of surprise. Um, and you might have gotten lucky. I just done sweeps, and that would be probably bad for me because that means definitely lost more aircraft than allied ones thus far. Although I did shoot down quite a bit of wildcats. Okay, good news for me. His bombers are here. All right, I'm just gonna speed through this. What I do, full disclosure, is I go back and I actually watch the entire turn because you learn a lot from that. That's how you become a better player. Is you actually see what happens in the combat, and you take that and you learn from it, and you see what works and what doesn't work. But in the interest of time, and I don't want to, these things are going to last a long time. I will move this along. I'm not particularly happy with still getting my Japanese forces hit, but this is a nice result. I mean, yeah, definitely recouping those that's imbalance in fighter losses that happens with the sweeps of LR cap. Good. Some more, although not that many fighters left to contest it. All right, 2 Hudson's down. I'll take it. I'll take it. There are those lightnings. I was thankfully they came towards the very end when I just had 2 fighters up. And right off the bat, there's a 0 gun. Let's hope this guy is able to dodge. No, doesn't look like it. Uh, let's see. Okay, maybe he'll survive. It's just damaged. And that's it. That's that. Any more sweeps will hit nothing. Or bombings for that matter. The bombings won't be intercepted if he has any more coming. Yep, nothing. All right, so that's the end. I think I feel a bit optimistic about this because we definitely shot down a fair number of bombers and took a chunk of the fighters as well. I think I lost more fighters than the Allies lost fighters. I think that's certain, given the way I was deployed, given I was in LR cap, which, by the way, is not as responsive as cap. Nowhere near as responsive as cap to a sweep. It stays at its own altitude. That's what's set. It doesn't move up to try to go over the enemy. But generally, I think I'm optimistic. I think I shot down more aircraft than I lost. And of course, it's not just about what aircraft are lost, it's also how you're affecting the battlefield. And providing that's cover for those advancing Japanese divisions right now is important because they're on the move. All right. Very minimal losses and inflicting heavy losses. I think a couple of turns and this should be gone. Knocked out the 3rd Chinese Corps. Allied bombardments here. Oh, he's moving out forces. I think he's waking up to the danger that's happening on the close to Bombay. Exchange is favorable to me. One damage Japanese squad. Oh, here they come. Whew. Yeah, it's the 26th division that came in, and as you can see, really bolstered those numbers. It's going to be a close one. Yeah. Okay, excellent. We hold. Very low. If he had shock attack, he would have carried the day. People shock attack way too much in this game, but you also need to know when to shock attack. Like this is definitely called for a shock attack, both last turn and this turn, because he had a mass, and it's really it's do or die kind of situation. Because I'm just going to reinforce. So he really needed to get those odds pushed to 2-1, and that's all what's bad. Yes, he can take more casualties, but he's going to inflict way more if he is able to drive me out. And that's the whole point, is whether you're able to get them out of the X or not when you shock attack. Well, here he's crossing over the river, so he has to shock attack, and obviously it's a terrible idea, but I don't think he expected my forces to be arriving there at the same time. And yeah, it's just using whatever he can. Taking more bases in northern Australia, which will help me clear out the space, for sure. And make his blockade running much more difficult. So I'm also moving in assets. So I'm going to close that down for sure. I am concerned that he might bring up carriers and do a raid of whatever forces I have there, so I have to be careful. I think submarines is the way to do it, so that is part of the solution there. Because single ships are not ideally protected against submarines who can use their dick guns. That's one thing. And then if he does bring those light cruisers forward, as he does to try to keep my destroyers from intercepting his ships, then those submarines could come into play. Kind of like an escalation ladder. I bring in destroyers, he brings in light cruisers, I bring in heavy cruisers or light destroyers, and then there's the threat you might bring a carrier raid forward. But then I also have Nels here, so that would be really dangerous. I'm not concerned. I definitely have all the cards in this game in Northern Australia, so not worried. It's just a bit more annoying than worried. Okay. Yes, sorry. Blanked out there for a second. Okay, so yeah, I'd say a good result, a decent result, not a fantastic result by any means. 18 lost air to air, 25 lost air to air. Carried the day, mostly because I knocked out bombers. That's the sallies that I'm losing in rates, and as you can see, it's paying up big time. Already it's 1,806. Permanence VPs, which is a very nice haul. Not all of that came from Conquery, obviously. A lot of that came from my KB raids on Australian industry. And then the air losses. That some of these would be fighters, some of this would be his bombers or fighters. Well, let's look a bit deeper into this. So that's just wear and tear. To recon aircraft, one to flak, one to ops. That's just the daily grind. 3 salaries A, so that's not the Conqueror raid. That's the very likely the bombings on Clark. Yeah, I'd say Clark. So got decent, and Madras, potentially Madras as well. And here's the actual results of the battle. I lost 23 fighters, which is a decent number, but I also killed 23 fighters. I also killed, what was it? This is always the correct number, 25 and plus ops losses for 30 overall allied aircraft. Let me do some calculations here. Just put it for the allies. Okay, so ops is all correct. It's 5. These are all correct. Blenheim 1, that's correct. This is correct. 2 plus 2, that's correct. Okay, so 4 Hurricanes destroyed. Very likely 11. Less Wildcats, I'd say more at 11 or 10. And then 3 or 4 Havocs. Yeah, that's how I would say it probably played out. Or maybe a little less Hudsons. But generally, let's say it's going to be about 12, no, it's going to be about 14 to 15 enemy fighters and the responders. Again, once I go through the actual combat turn and I see how many fighters were shot down, how many bombers were shot down, then I can know pretty much the exact number. But right now, yeah, it's lost slightly more fighters than the enemy, but of course did not lose any bombers to disengagements near Bombay, and he lost a lot, like almost 20, not between I think around 15 actually, or just over 15. So yeah, I'll just leave it there. What else is happening? So yeah, just this is going to be an issue. I'm going to try to solve it with the bombing and just keep them suppressed until I bring more forces. And this is a race, and he's, as you can see, what he's doing. He brought the 7th Armored Brigade back to Kuno, and I believe he's trying to race me to this hex here to stop me from moving forward. He loves doing that. He loves stopping, which is a bit annoying because this game, obviously, even if you're like, let's see, 40 of 46 all the way there, if he brings forces forward, you go back to scratch, you go back to 0. So that and the single ship task force thing is a bit of an annoying thing that he does. I I we don't have HRs against it. He's within his rights to do it. That's not what I'm saying. It's just something that I have to deal with essentially in the game. Each player has the particular playstyle and peculiarities. I'm sure I have my fair share of idiosyncrasies that annoy other players. Okay, so I'm rambling now. I'll leave it at there. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And that's that. Thanks for watching.